Number 1.
My great aunt is 96 years old and is in a great shape. She is around 5 feet tall and skinny. She walks her dog every night, and she told me about an encounter she had recently. It was around 9 p.m. and dark out. It's winter time, so she was wearing a big coat and a hat. She was walking her dog, and a van that had been parked on the street turned on after she passed it, slowly drove up behind her. As it passed, she heard a male voice say, "Never mind, I thought she was young." Then the van drove away and didn't come back. She called the cops but didn't catch the license plate, so the cop told her there was nothing they could do. So van creepers, let's hope you never meet anyone ever again. Number 2. This is a memory that I have tried to repress, but for some reason can't even seem to get rid of. I was 4 years old, and I was at a department store with my dad. He was looking for new clothes while I giggled and hid from him in the clothing rack, a favorite game of mine. A few minutes passed, and I managed to get further away from him to the point where he called out my name. I innocently giggled and continued to hide, further irritating him. He eventually found my hiding spot and pulled me out of the clothing rack and lectured me. I distinctly remember him say, "Do not hide from me when I call you. There are a lot of bad people in this world, and someone could take you." Not even a moment later, a creepy woman wearing a gruggy clothes came out of nowhere and tried to stroke my hair and told me, "Not all people are bad, sweetie." In one swift motion, my father picked me up and told me the woman not to go near me or he would alert security. He carried me away and we left the store. I thought that would be the end of the strange encounter, but it wasn't. Later that night, I remember sleeping in my bed facing my door, which I always kept open. In the middle of the night, I felt 3 hefty taps on my left shoulder. Thinking it was my mom or dad, I tiredly turned around my eyes to find a large shadow of a person standing over my bed. I immediately knew this person was nor my mom or dad. I screamed at the top of my lungs and ran down the hallway to their room. Sure enough, they were both in bed. Just then, awakening to the sounds of my screams, I yanked my dad's hand and told him there was someone in my room. My dad followed me back into my room while my mom started to dial the police. As we entered the room, we both quickly noticed my bedroom window was open and the screen had been busted out. I never slept with my window open or even a crack. My dad's face turned white as a ghost. He picked me up and carried me back into my parents' room. While him and my mom talked to the police reporting a break-in, they never figured out who broke in. But my dad had always suspected it was the creepy woman from the store. She never could have possibly followed us home and planned to abduct me from my room. It still sends shivers down my spine to this day. I could no longer go to sleep unless my blinds are fully shut and my windows are locked. To that creepy woman who told me not all people are bad, let's never meet again. Number 3. So, backstory first. My grandparents' house is in a rural area, part of Iowa, where until about a year ago, they didn't really have any neighbors. It's an older house, about 100 years old, and has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Their kitchen and living room is connected, and the room I stayed in was off of the living room. Also, the back door is in the kitchen. They are on a 40-acre farm, and because my grandpa is getting a bit older, I would help out and work on their farm during when I was a teenager in the summer. During that time, I would stay at their house because it was a long trip back home and wasn't worth the time or gas or money to go back every night. My grandfather was big into poker and would go down to Las Vegas for a week or 2 each month, leaving me and my grandma and home alone. This one week, my grandpa had to go to a funeral out of state, and I was left alone there at the house for a whole week. This was the last night I was going to be alone. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to go and feed the animals. I would bring my grandma's dog with me while I did the chores because I knew she loved to get out, and I enjoyed the company. They had this building about 50 yards away from the house that we called the chicken house. The chicken house is about 30 by 40, and buildings and I had to go in there to get some gloves. As I reached the doorknob, I realized the door was already open. slightly ajar. I didn't think too much of it, thinking that was an old building and it probably just blew open during the night. As I opened the door, the dog started acting weird. I thought maybe she saw one of the dozens of barn cats that roam the farm. I walked inside and got my gloves, but couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I finished my chores around 8:30 and went inside to watch TV. I kind of put off my evening chores till later than usual that night. It was about half an hour until sunset, so I rushed through feeding the animals and moving to the irrigation pipes. I needed to go and grab something from the chicken house again. As I walked in, the dog started growling again. That mixed with the fact that I was still home alone and it was completely dark and I was creeped out. I rushed and got the thing and bolted out of there. I went inside and locked the doors and windows and got into bed. It was probably around midnight when I was awoken by the sound of someone trying to open the back door. I got scared and grabbed my knife and called the police. To my dread, there wasn't an officer anywhere in the area and would probably take about 15 to 20 minutes. The person stopped trying to open the back door, and deep down I knew he was still there, so I went to the window to see if I could see him through the blinds. I made a small crack between the two blinds. There, right where I parted the blinds, were a pair of eyes, bloodshot wide, gripped my knife tightly. I jumped back and gripped my knife tightly. I yelled, "I've called the police and I have a gun," which was a lie, but I thought maybe it would scare him off. I heard him walk to the door again, and this time he threw his body against it and broke the door. I ran and slammed the door shut while pulling the chest at the foot of my bed with me. I got to the door just as a split second before the man did. The chest weighed a decent amount, and with me pushing against the door, the man couldn't get in. I got desperate and yelled, "If you don't leave now, I will shoot you." What he said next will stay with me until the day I die. In a deep, deep voice he said, "But if you killed me, how would I get your skin?" The police arrived, but they were too late. He was gone. They found evidence that he had been staying in the chicken house for the past couple of days. They found some rope and a small knife in the chicken house. I don't want to know what would have happened if he had gotten in. But did the creep outside my window and door? Let's not meet. Alright, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a little collaboration. 3 true scary stories. Mr. Nightmare, I hope your mother gets better. Probably not going to watch this, but still, I wish you guys best of luck. Earnmaker, thank you for inspiring me to make this channel. And everybody have an awesome day.